Welcome to our podcast.
It's at your 10th podcast.
I was trying to think quickly. What was the number? Our 10th podcast from Wired Together with your host, Jason Winter and Melanie Winter. And today we were planning for a while, actually, which is very interesting, to discuss fear. The fear of what's coming up, the fear with AI, the fear with technology. Of course, we have touched on this probably more than one episode, but we promised a little more in depth.
Sure.
So this is kind of more of our in-depth fear, and maybe fear versus freedom. So the cool thing is, irony would have it.
Right.
I think I'm using irony correctly.
Oh, definitely.
English.
Oh, no, you're fine.
That we had two customers come in, both with concerns of both with fear.
And it was just today.
Today.
We're trying to sit down to do this,
and
podcast
or anything. So we thought we'd kind of start with very common fears. We have not heard this once, but many times. But it was an interesting reminder because we're about to do the podcast.
Sure.
One in particular, she was nervous to come in.
Yeah.
It was sometimes you don't feel like you have all the knowledge, all the jargon, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, how do I explain what I need? If I don't know all of the jargon.
It's like, I'm not an expert, and she even alluded to, as far as technology, that some people maybe made her feel like she was stupid.
Right.
I mean, and it's not fair. I mean,
dismissed?
Right. Well, woman, you don't know what you're talking about or whatever, and that's not fair. She just has two computers, and she's trying to set up the new one. She wants data transfers from the old one, so it's like, hey,
she knew exactly what she needed.
Everything she said to me made sense, right?
Everything that again, what was needed, and her jargon was completely fine.
Oh, sure.
But I get the fear. It probably not knowing it. At one point, you were also an English teacher for middle school, so you've got a little bit of a background of not just you have to know everything. I'm here to teach. I'm here to talk. I'm here to understand.
Sure.
And so she immediately felt comfortable and was just very excited. But I thought it was very brave of her to let us know that she was afraid to walk in.
I know. I'm glad she did. We scheduled something, and she walked away, and she's like, I feel so much better that I did, and I'm proud of her. And that's sometimes when you're faced with something like fear, you realize you're limiting yourself, and it's but because if you can push through that, then you have that freedom for something new.
Well, one thing I had learned in a previous job with I did wine tastings. Or do did for many years is more.
You did it full time, but now.
And so, my dear friend, one thing he told me that I felt like was so important was, you're going to fall into, a lot of people know a lot of different things. There's so much to know about wine.
Oh, yeah.
Different regions, all of these different grapes, varietals.
All the nuances of the...
Yes, everything. There's so many things. And once you start to learn, you realize how little you actually do know. And he said the main thing you need to always remember is they're walking in not knowing our wines. Right. And you know our wines. And that's why that's important.
That is true.
And so I've repeated him several times because, I think that's so important to say, okay, I get that you know things that are outside of my scope.
Right.
But you walked in here to learn what my scope is.
Right,
so I'm
exactly.
going to teach you that. So,
sure, that makes sense.
I thought that was really, and that kind of helps with the fear, especially, again, something as large as technology or something as expansive. I mean, wine's been here for... thousands and thousands of years, so there's so much to know.
But nothing larger than space and the universe. I remember as a child and learning, of course, the moon, the sun, the earth. We understand that relationship and all the planets. Sorry, Pluto, but actually...
Pluto still exists.
Yep, I know. I'm Team Pluto too.
Pro Pluto.
Yep. And then all the stars. And, you kind of like, okay, I understand how things work in the universe. As you study in more depth, you realize... Like you're saying, I don't know anything.
Right now, I know nothing.
But I think with any industry, any topic, you have a certain level you get to where it's like, all right, I get this. you take that next step, and then all of a sudden you have fear. You're like, maybe I don't understand this at all. But you can't forget what you do know, and also remember, you don't need to know it all. You just need to continue to navigate through it and learn more.
The healthcare system, you have specialties.
Right, exactly.
It's hard to know the whole,
Sure.
everything and every inner working.
Yeah, it'd be unfair to expect that. Yeah.
So, that's one thing is, fear of not knowing enough. And the other one that kind of leans into a little bit more of our topic is we had a client that just went right out and said, are you afraid of AI?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so I immediately started to laugh because I knew my topic for today. So.
Right. So I'm like, okay, the person here chuckling over there, finishing up on something, she came right around. Like, she's going to come around and talk, because the irony of it, again, was we were just about to do a podcast on it, and hope you're listening. So you asked. But yeah, that you want to talk about what that was, or was it just as far as...
So kind of, when something can be made up so quickly, then you start to get into what's real.
Right.
And so, which is very interesting, it kind of leans into, your fake news,
Mm-hmm.
your...
Oh, sure, yeah.
Your memes that aren't even real,
Right, exactly. It's like
videos, whole videos aren't actual truth.
And we see a lot on social media, and we've learned to be cautious.
Right.
That if we see something, it may not be real.
So what I told her was, what Jason told her, which was a really good point, is, now that we know more, we are having more of a critical eye.
Yeah, we're starting to learn how to
see
discern.
That, okay, this may not always be true.
Right.
Even though you're looking at it with your eyes,
right.
It's still not necessarily true. And so I said that, my 13 and 11-year-old were, I was showing them something. I think it was a video.
It was video. Oh, yeah, last night.
Immediately, it took almost no time at all. Both of them went, "That's AI."
And we're like, okay, how do you know that?
Right.
And they're like, all right, watch. And they're like, right here. And it was something about the movement.
The two dogs moved at the exact same time.
It was something that your
eye
realizes.
They saw that, and see, they had a better critical eye than I did.
Right.
I didn't even notice.
They noticed how unnatural it was.
They did. They saw the unnatural movement, and that seemed natural to me because it was a natural movement.
Right, but big picture, you're looking at something,
mm-hmm.
and you're not. But apparently, they are seeing enough, just like some other people. I mean, it wasn't that long ago when AI would make images and things like that we would all just joke and say, oh, it's AI. Look, that person has 6 fingers. I mean, AI had a hard time with fingers in image creation,
right.
among other oddities, but with more iterations, it is
right.
getting better. And, but there'll be other things too. As soon as you start seeing leaps going forward, there's always going to be that reminder of, oh, yeah, okay, I thought you were here, but like our AI co-host who's on vacation again. I guess we'll get the story. But we know our AI co-host, slips up, gets silly, voice cracks or whatever. We don't understand what's going on. And, but yeah.
Every once in a while, he sounds like helium is...
Right, is he? And it's like, did you hear that? But
he is not flawless.
Nope.
But, that is the nature of it. The technology is not flawless.
No, of course not.
It's going to have its flaws.
It's constantly in a state of evolution.
And I think having a critical eye
mm-hmm.
Early is extremely important. And just having a critical eye at any point, if
right.
something doesn't seem like it should be real, it probably isn't,
True.
And so our senses are always, are very often mistaking something, so.
And having that critical eye is important because it can help you have confidence a little bit more of, okay, I don't need to know it necessarily, but I know what to look for in what I don't understand. And, it's technology as a whole is really something that we need to teach ourselves and also teach our children.
Right. Well, that goes into kind of the first part of the actual true episode that we were putting together is that, sometimes the fear is the not knowing and it's the not understanding. And that is the thing that freedom can come from is being able to learn it, being able to know it. that does give you enough comfort level. And so it's not to stay away. I don't know it, so I'm scared of it, and I will stay away.
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't really get that choice, and so it's maybe a little more. And maybe I need to understand it. Maybe I need more clarity. Work with it instead of against it.
Right.
And so that can be helpful as a tool for creativity, for expression, for small tasks. If we open ourselves up to it, and instead of fear.
Yeah.
And so kind of going on that is, fear is, we should always realize that fear is control. So anytime we feel fear, there is a reason for it.
You want to regain that control.
Right.
Because you feel like, this may either take something from you or something that you're not able to harness and feel comfortable with.
Right. So I kind of consider it almost a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's,
right.
So fear is... fear will start to control you, and so then you want more control over it, and it controls you more, and it's actually gives you the reason to have feared to begin with. So it's almost like it's a loop.
It's a circle, yeah. Exactly.
Right.
Yep, definitely is.
And so we've got a couple of biggies of what this fear is creating, and so one thing is in teaching our children. One of the biggest things for parents is what do I embrace about technology, and what do I pull away?
Sure.
And so the way we have a tendency to see it is, you don't hand a 16-year-old car keys and just say, best of luck.
No.
That is
especially if they're on your insurance.
That's a big machine.
Right.
That any person that is going to operate that machine has got to have some knowledge of what they're doing.
Yeah, they need the training.
Right.
They need to know
Not everybody can be as lucky to live kind of in a more open space, but we do try to teach our kids a lot earlier here. We're in the rural areas, and so go ahead as soon as you're tall enough to reach.
Yep, drive in the field, do whatever.
Yes, drive in the field.
Yep.
So
sure.
We have tried to make sure that when we go into releasing that autonomy to the child, that they have some understanding of what they're doing. So you do want, and even the law says they should be driving with an actual responsible adult.
Right.
And, most parents are going to be wanting to be that person and wanting to be the adult that's driving, with the child, teaching them things like that.
Sure.
Well, technology is like exactly the same way. You don't hand them the keys.
Yeah.
When they're not developed well enough to have all of the keys.
Right.
As they learn, sure, you have more freedoms, but they should always be taught that this is a privilege to have things that make life easier to do tasks and communicate. Right. But we can also not have that privilege if we don't treat it correctly, and we don't develop with it, and we don't learn it. And learning technology has been very important.
Which technology is a tool, so is a car. And if you're teaching them about it, you obviously realize if they have their phone or something like that, you can't be over the shoulder every second. You can't be in the car with them every second. So it's not just teaching them how to do it. It's also teaching, the responsibilities and the limitations and scenarios beyond you're hoping to prepare them for things that you may not know how to experience or have experienced rather, because the world does change and the kids are involved in things that are much more elaborate than maybe we're used to.
Right. And so it's try to be outright with them, try to make sure that they understand, again, all the things that can be fake. Somebody that randomly talks to you, that our kids know not to talk to anybody that is not someone they know in real life.
Yeah.
And so that is extremely important to us. And so that is, to go ahead and let them know. Yeah. People aren't what they say they are. Right. So you can't believe everybody.
Right. Exactly. And if they gotten like a random text before, and usually it's like always a scam, your car warranty or health insurance, something like that. And they're like, I got this text, and they're letting us know. And it's like, yep, just go ahead and report, delete, whatever,
Right.
But anytime they get something, it's like we've drilled it into them, hey, look, don't be afraid to come to us, because we don't want them to be in a situation. If they're afraid to come to us, then something that goes against the learning process and could get you in a situation.
Right. So if you teach no fear,
Exactly, yeah. Be like, hey,
say,
be
look,
open.
you're not going to know everything, so
Yep.
here's why I'm here.
Exactly, yeah.
I'd rather that you didn't, you realize you don't know everything and come to me.
Yep.
So we also kind of, fear of collapse is been really big lately.
Oh, yeah.
Just everything is going to kind of go down, your Y2K situation.
Right, the Y2K of
AI's taking
2025,
over,
right?
Viruses.
Oh, yeah.
And viruses. And so, those kind of like more explosive fears, that is kind of that way of creating that fear on more of a biblical proportion of the end of the world and that sort of thing.
The plague.
And I don't want to treat that lightly, but there is, again, you remember the Y2K scare, and so as far as when all of that happened, backups weren't all that big a deal and stuff like that. So we've gotten a little more smart about it. A lot of times we're going to have fallbacks that bring us into being a little smarter next time and being able to overcome.
Right.
And so, backups nowadays are everything, to the point we've got servers all over the
Yeah, we got a lot of cloud
world.
computing and things like that. But, I mean, it's, of course, back in Y2K, the fear of everything going down, banking, all my information will be lost. And, got to remember, sometimes some of these events maybe, while they might be truth to it, they are hyped, as we realize with this. But it's to get us to the next stage of where things are going. And now everyone's on board. Wait, because we experienced that, now we must accept this next thing. So, but anyway.
What was the wording? Problem,
reaction, solution.
Problem, reaction, solution.
Yeah.
You create the problem.
Yeah.
Then you have
the resulting reaction.
And then the solution, which you've already created from the problem,
right? You already knew, right?
Is doled out. So it's, a lot of that is orchestrated. A lot of that is your Orson Welles kind of situations.
Oh yeah,
the aliens have landed, and
right. It's kind of like when the patent for antivirus software is already there before we experience viruses.
Right.
It's convenient.
It was very convenient.
Moving along.
We won't speak of that.
We did.
And so, a lot of this is fear is typically coming from how we educate ourselves. And so, it's not that strange to, when you're starting to learn to walk and things like that. You're going to, of course, fall, then you fear to fall, so you learn to walk better.
Right. It's like, I need to be more careful going down that
These
step.
things are very important to our psyche. We actually have to fear.
Yeah.
To me personally, I think it's a very healthy fear to fear spiders, because there is one out there that might kill you.
Well, that is definitely in Australia. But
well, we had the black widow.
Oh, I know. And
I know it's
brown
a lot less likely. But.
I know, but I get it though. It's good to have a fear, because then you see something and you're cautious. Like, oh, come here, let me pet you. It's
right. And I think that's what we tend to do is, and what I do, and probably wrong, but the black widow could kill you, but all spiders can't.
Right.
So we do have to kind of keep that in mind when we have fear.
Sure.
Of course, we're going to fear spiders, but they really aren't all out to set out to hurt you.
No.
They don't even all have venom.
No.
They're pretty much just living their lives. Regular web designers, hanging out.
Web designers. Yep. I get it. I heard that. Yeah. So.
We're also I find it very interesting in education. One thing we get taught when it comes to fear is fearing what's next.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how
Right.
many times I've in a classroom. Well, you know it's going to be worse next year.
Oh,
Everything's
I
going to be worse
hated
next
that.
year. You're not going to have it as lovely as you have it this year because it's going to be so much worse next year.
Yeah.
Next year you're going to be in middle school. It's going to be so much worse. And next year you're going to be in high school. It's going to be
Right.
And college isn't going to going to hold your hand.
Oh, I know.
And
Well,
it's like okay. So I try to remind every single child I actually meet that talks about that. So not just my own children, but other people's children.
Sure.
It's like, I just want to give you a secret.
Right.
They tell you that. Every year I have been in that they tell me that it's always better the next year.
Right.
Because the next year you not only have you get a little less handheld.
Right.
Which is great, because then you get a little more freedom.
True. That is true. You get more freedom.
So you go into a little more freedom, a little more freedom,
right.
a little more freedom, a lot more freedom.
Yeah.
And then it's like,
But you also don't anticipate your own growth that took place. Like right now, I don't know this. But a year from now, wow, look where I've come.
So it seems so ridiculous to me to teach children that it's always going to be worse.
Yeah.
And it's like, don't pay attention. They do that, and I don't know why.
I remember.
But I want you to know that it's actually always better.
Yeah. In the school system I was in, our classrooms were kind of divided by partitions. So you had like 4 classes in this main room, let's say. So it's kind of like, a one-room schoolhouse, but not. And so I remember in 3rd grade, we're talking about multiplication, and we started getting into division. But every now and then I could hear the 4th grade teacher right across the partition getting into long division and all this kind of stuff. And I remember sitting there, just like you're talking about, thinking, I'm never going to be able to do that. I mean, I'm listening to them do it, and, and I'm like, that's next year? I'm going to be dead. I can't do it. But then when 4th grade came about, and I still had this in my memory, when I started 4th grade, and I realized within that first 2 weeks of school, I'm like, okay, I do know this, and that kind of stuck with me and what you're talking about, because I'm like, okay, every year, we're not often realizing how far we have come with things, but there's always that fear of I'm not going to be able to.
Right.
But at whatever age you are right now, look at how old you are right now. What have you accomplished? What would you have stopped yourself from if you didn't allow yourself to, if you knew the hill you had to climb? Exactly. Yep. So
the saying I hear so many adults say, "Oh, just wait till you're an adult." Oh, just wait till you're an adult.
Yeah,
and you can have too many adults say that to you,
right? To
the point it becomes so fearful to become an adult.
Yeah.
And I try to remind my children when adults say that, it's like, guys, I actually have liked being an adult so much better.
Yeah. Again, getting back to that freedom.
I get what they're saying. I'm not saying that that's wrong what they're saying, but don't fear it.
Right.
Because actually you're going to be an adult a lot longer than a child.
You will, yeah. We hope.
Embrace your childhood. Enjoy your childhood. Don't do it with fear, because you know what? Adulting is fun too.
That's right.
I have enjoyed being an adult.
And we don't want to minimize anyone's problems, I mean, kids are going through, the quote-unquote, like, technological playground of life, but then before the, beta release of software. So but there is still a learning process that we can't say, oh, just wait till you get here. This is valuable too. It's not like wait until you turn 18, now I'll start teaching you things. Now you're an adult, here are problems. Now let's bring up, conflict resolution,
Right. It's like that should be way before.
Conflict resolution unlocked. Oh my gosh, no.
So, I think that, I think we get taught this continual envisioning of fear, fear of we're not going to ever know enough, fear that things that we don't know about is going to, just completely take us over and that kind of thing. And so, that a lot of times it also turns into kind of fear of messing up, fear of failure, that kind of.
That's very common.
And so, that's definitely with technology. People don't want to touch it.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to do anything.
Well, if
I
touch
thought
it,
it was
I'll
mess
just
it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, just like all of us. Yeah, of course.
And so, we named it. We decided to name it Glitch Happens.
Yep, glitch happens. Yeah.
So, sometimes glitch does happen, and we become afraid of fixing.
Right.
So, as opposed to like knowing that technology is almost always fixable, not always, but
yeah,
there are a lot of times you really didn't lose what you thought you lost.
Oh yeah,
that
that's
kind
true.
of thing. It's in there somewhere, and I think a lot of this is the earlier age computing where you actually could lose something almost entirely.
Computers make very fast, accurate mistakes.
Right, and you could lose the whole thing. Nowadays, it is extremely different, and so there is a lot of
there are a lot of safeguards that have been built.
Safeguards that have been put into place because we've lost so much.
Right.
In the past, the last thing you want is like right before launch for NASA to completely lose all of the computing.
I was going to say, losing your photo album, yes, that is very sad, especially, but for a billion-dollar company to have lost their entire, next software, release, that, someone said, how do we prevent this?
Right.
And they built it in.
So there's a lot more. And so one thing, we've been able to do when it comes to the computer repair part of what we do is recovery. Mm-hmm. And you'd be surprised what you're actually able to recover that just seemed completely lost.
Just because you can't get to it don't mean it's not there.
Right.
And that's kind of, it's behind that door, but that's not an option for me right now.
And, so that realization of I can find it, even if I don't know exactly how to just yet, I can find it.
Right.
I think it's been really helpful for other people.
Yeah, I think so.
If nothing else, I can at least call up Jason and he can figure out how to find it.
Right.
And it's been helpful as far as a teaching tool. I do love that my girls can troubleshoot because they're not as afraid of making the mistakes.
No,
and so
not really. No,
and so they do a lot of like my parents will watch them do something and fix it,
right?
And and it's like, whoa, how were they able to do that?
Right?
And it's like, well, it's really not necessarily knowing how to troubleshoot as much as it is being confident, knowing that you can't screw it up with so much,
right?
So then they play with it, and then they know how to.
And
fix
you recognize the patterns, and you think being in a household of people that work in a technology business, that the child might, here, you do it, and they throw us the remote. When in fact, they don't. They go ahead and click, all right, I got it.
Oh, and often show us what to do.
And, right, sometimes. That's another story. I'll get into the PIP anyway. Hang on to that. But it's not like, oh, well, we know and I don't. Because, again, we're very careful to make sure, all right, you try, you think, but their troubleshooting has just come through a lot of their own exploration and confidence that they've built in that. So, but yeah.
And, they're not perfect people by any means. This is mainly just talking about how we are trying to, to reduce fear of technology.
Yes.
Where, along these kind of lines. So.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, and it pretty much is, exactly what is used against us when we start to realize or hang too much onto fear. We create this world of fear. Of course, we can talk about fear for probably hours when it comes to everything. Within the world and all that. This is really just being technologically based. So, one of the biggest fears is, of course, scams.
Yeah.
And that is actually exactly what they want you to have.
Exactly.
Scammers want that, the fear.
Yeah.
Because that's what works. It is how they can actually manipulate you to, and you'll stop thinking.
And then you move forward. Yeah.
You might not think of it quite as critically.
Yeah.
Because now they've given you so much fear.
Right.
So a lot of scammer tactics are used to create fear.
Yeah.
If you don't do this now, this urgency.
Mm-hmm. Yep. They create urgency for sure.
You do a talk on scamming a lot.
Yeah.
And one of the main things, is going through a bulleted list of how do you know it's a scam? And one of those is urgency.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't do this now, you
Yeah.
know, we're gonna, you know, shut the whole thing down, and now you've got nothing,
Right.
and that kind of thing. So it's one of those tools that is used. So when you know that you don't have as much to fear as you think, then there is that, you know, okay, if they're putting out some urgency, I need to
If
stop.
I need to do this in 2 hours,
Right.
and I got a bill for a product I don't even own, and that should be a, you know, heads up. And I mean, I could talk 2 hours on this, but
most big
be careful.
companies
Don't call the number.
Right. Most big companies out there,
Yeah.
you know, that you're working with, you know, whether it's an antivirus company,
Right.
Your software company, or anything like that, they are massive.
Oh yeah.
They're not urgent at all.
Oh no.
Your little whatever bill, Dominion, don't do anything with power or anything.
Yeah, Dominion
like that.
Power. Yeah.
They are not going to jump down your throat with urgency on a bill. They want you to know.
Exactly.
But they're not going to do that urgency thing.
Right. Most of these companies have said, we're not going to reach out to you.
To do something like that. And they would never do something like that to their customers. You are technically their customer.
Yeah.
Most companies are not going to do that. So that is a definite, that's a scammer if urgency has been put in place.
Yeah. And I just think a big part of it is, you know, anyone could be called. I mean, I would say we've all been scammed. I've been scammed. And, you know, it's just, sometimes you're caught off guard. Just like that phone call someone, and you're just not in the right mindset to really talk to them. And you go, man, maybe I was rude. You know, but you caught off guard and you think it's a problem. Because oftentimes a scammer is reaching out with something, and then you react to that. Again, problem, reaction, solution. So they send you a problem. Your credit card was just charged $599 for whatever this thing. And then you go, oh no. You call the number. Now that scammer who is talking to you very professionally, and, you know, I'm going to help you through this. Don't you worry. I mean, why are they so nice? Because they're making money off of this, unfortunately. And they're, you know, then what happens there is they get you to go through a process to fix the problem that actually never existed. Because, again, at email, you weren't, you know, actually charged that. Then you're letting the scammer in to then do the damage. So it's, I remember somebody was here one time and they were like, why do these people do this? Why don't they get a job? And I was like, they're making a lot more money than I am. I mean, and it's unfortunate. I've had banks call me to help with clients and all that. And I, you know, we see more of this than, you know, we would want to. But again, going back to the topic, it all starts with fear, because you make a reaction to something because you're afraid. What if I don't? So yeah, that's a big thing though.
Right. And always remember, again, these companies will not actually do this to you.
No, and that's what you're saying with as far as these bigger name companies. And no one reads the terms of service, I know that. But I mean, if you look at the bottom of many of their emails, they will say, we are not going to reach out for sensitive information. If you get contacted from us, please make sure that you reach out to us through our number. Do not call the number provided to you. You know, it's, I mean, I could rattle off the entire script, but, and even though I know this, I can't be 100% sure that I won't be scammed in the future. Because again, if done correctly,
they'll change tactics.
If they will change. They evolve. I've seen the evolution and how I need to fight the viruses and the malware and how the way intrusions. It's evolved, and you have to kind of read it and figure it out. But yeah, they'll move on when it stops working. They'll figure something else out. Not that you need to be afraid, but you need to be cautious, and you just need to be open and just, you know, don't dismiss trying to learn it more. Yeah. So.
And call your friendly computer repair guy.
Oh yeah. I mean, it can't tell you how many times people reach out to me. Sometimes I'll get a email or a text. Is this legit? I look at him like, nope, throw it away or whatever, you know. And it's not really bothering me at all, you know. It's just I'd rather the contact be that than I'm out $20,000. Can you know, the bank has locked everything on my computer until you fix it. So yeah, but
So yeah, we've trying to move in. Okay, we've discussed enough of the fear.
right.
So why does this give us? Why does fear changed into knowing lead to freedom? And so this is where we see a lot of technology and the way things are kind of shaping themselves as its own freedom.
Yeah.
I know I was just discussing with a dear friend of mine. We were, both talking about housework and stuff like that and trying to get things done and everything. And I had everything running and was able to step away and have a conversation with her.
Right.
Because all the machines were running.
Right.
And
your droids were working for you.
All of my droids
Very
were
good.
And I'm like, I do not want to go back in time at all.
Right, exactly.
I love the fact that I can throw clothes in there and they just go. I can put dishes in the dishwasher.
Right.
And it goes. Technology is also the dishwasher and the dryer.
Exactly, yeah.
The coffee pot. This is all technology. And so at one point, people were, unsure of all of these things. Well, how do I operate this? What do I do? I remember Grandma having such a hard time with the microwave.
Right.
It's like, I don't know. I just don't like it.
Well, it's just new and fancy.
Grandma, all you got to do is push a few buttons and that's it. And no, I'm not doing it.
Right.
Which I get for Grandma, but she just had her way and she was going to do it her way.
That's right. And that's
But,
fine.
as far as, remembering that all of these things really are just new technologies that I dearly love. I dearly love the freedom that it offers. So
sure, exactly.
Now, if it learned to fold and put away at the same time, let's do it.
Yeah,
let's
definitely.
Get that.
I can't wait for that upgrade. But so it's I guess continuing with that, the AI keeps coming up as a topic, of course, with technology, because that is the latest, buzzword, if you will. Buzzword.
It's the buzzword that's all set up to end us.
We have kind of flashbacks to Terminator and 2001:
I don't
Space
think
Odyssey.
movies have helped us.
No, they have not, but they've kind of prepared us, maybe, if that's the right word.
Again, critical thinking, that's great.
Right, exactly.
Critical thinking is wonderful. But
But one of the biggest things is AI isn't magic, and I know it looks like it because it's like, oh my gosh, we've seen actually in about two and a half years ago, for the most part, it getting into the households and usage, a big jump in what technology is able to offer us. If you think about autocorrect or what do you call it, suggestive, whatever, like in Google, when you start typing something and it finishes your phrase or sentence, technically that is AI. And while useful or not, definitely not autocorrect, we've seen this big jump in what AI is doing. So while it looks like magic, it's just pattern recognition that is trained on data. But we've kind of unlocked the amount of resources given to it. So almost overnight, we have felt a shock, which again, it can be fear, it can be excitement, and sometimes both. And but it's not the first time that we have had. I know we've talked about in a previous episode, like the printing press, and how, if you think about it, when the printing press came about, there was a lot of fear. There was a lot of, okay, this is not natural. This machine is printing this book. Didn't help that the Bible was, very much involved in that. But these scribes that hand wrote stuff for thousands of years, the thing is that it's not that we destroyed the scribes. With the printing press, we made education more widespread.
Right. People could read the Bible in their own language.
Exactly.
Like that's what you meant by the way you said that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. It was like, wait.
Yes.
She's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
And then my head started to
right. Right.
But yeah,
but there was a lot of fear because that was part of it. But
right.
yeah,
scribes could go directly into making all that work too. They're
Right.
the ones that know the wording.
Exactly.
So that's it. Just moves up. It's just really
Right.
an upgrade of everyone.
Exactly. And just
And
the
so-
ability to do it at a different pace. And,
Well, and we were talking about
volume.
the Industrial Revolution.
Oh, yeah.
You've
Mhm.
got, obviously that's such a good thing that you get all of this invention and things coming up,
Right.
so that we don't have we've had just gotten out of thank goodness the country having more in
People being
slavery and that
used
kind of
and-
thing.
yeah,
People
right.
being used as and so then it turns into, well, now we've got the need for the machinery, which
Yeah.
was awesome. So then
Yeah.
you got machinery coming up,
Sure.
and that does a lot of things that that you would normally have to use people, and then that's not good conditions.
Right. Exactly.
And so it ended up happening also in Industrial Revolution, where you've got more and more machinery, and so that gives that ability to use less and less people,
Right.
which sounds like a bad thing, but we were putting children in there,
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
because they had little hands, and
Yep. So I mean,
sometimes they just completely went off.
right. Yeah.
So not the best conditions either,
Right.
and so a lot of machines end up doing the things that are not as savory. That would not be something that would and shouldn't really be asking human beings to.
Right. Let the machine do the risk, not the person.
Right,
Yeah.
to completely use their body, because bodies are not machines, and so
Yeah.
bodies are wonderful, tools for lots
Right.
of things, but we're not machines.
You can't reinstall a limb.
Right.
Yeah.
You cannot upgrade either.
Right. Right.
So that we need to eat, we need to do things that are more important for us,
Exactly.
and so as machines do things that maybe aren't in the best conditions, then we can do things that are better for our conditions. So that gives us more of that creativity.
Exactly.
The greatest thing about the human brain is how creative we are,
And adaptable.
and how
And,
adaptable we
exactly,
are. And so that
yeah.
gives us more humanity.
That's true. Yeah, that's definitely the truth. And I guess when it comes with technology and our relationship with it, again, we need to realize that we are the, if you will, the master, and the technology is our assistant. So if technology is the assistant, not the star. We are using it for a purpose, and that's what all technology is for us. It is a tool. And as we start wrapping things up here, just have some thoughts here that we a couple points that we thought were kind of poignant. And a parent's love cannot be programmed, but smart tools can handle the noise and chaos so that there's more time for family connection. And yeah, and of course,
Nice little quip there, Jay.
well, it's I think it's the goal for all of us. And marketing, especially in the 50s with certain things, it was like, hey, look, you'll have these products and you'll have more time. The unfortunate thing is, because humans are humans, now that you have more time, you have more time for the corporate world. So I know that people are afraid of losing jobs and things like that. I think things are going to change, and I can't tell you how. But if you kind of look at all the factors, things will settle in that perhaps technology will remove a lot of the things we're responsible for. Yet we still will have responsibilities. It's not going to be in the same way. But just like that last thing, a child's curiosity can't be scripted. But tools can open doors, so discovery never stops. And in a future of automation, creativity won't vanish. It will be our most valuable currency. So think about that, creativity being a currency. And I think this is the part where we really need to give pause and think about. Machines are doing a lot of things that, a lot of the tasks, a lot of the where we'd put our brain on. But we are creative people, and there's a fear that, the computer's just going to do everything. They're going to get rid of artists. They're going to get rid of, you name it. I mean, we do web design. It's like, computers are going to get rid of that. Well, there have been platforms left and right that made websites for many, many, many years. But I think usually people like the relationship with who they're dealing with, not necessarily this product that they feel like is going to do it for them. And I guess kind of lastly here, the more digital our world grows, the more our humanness becomes the rare and priceless element. Don't forget what you add to the equation. And if you're intimidated by technology, realize who you are and your connections with other people.
I like that. Yes,
Absolutely. Because it gets back to that relationship. Computers are never going to take that over. And it's yes, they can do things, sure. Okay, they can do. AI is Google on steroids. It can do a lot of research for you.
But the complexities of the true human mind.
The complexity and the human mind is still behind asking for it to do what it needs to do. So part of that becomes, yes, if this is the next tool, I need to learn it, because just like I had to learn how to do a search engine, I had to learn how to use a card catalog and figure out how to find that book deep in the library somewhere, and to realize also
the days of the card catalog.
Yeah, I mean these are it continues to evolve, and technology will evolve, but we're still human. We still have heart. We still have creativity. We still have that spirit that technology is not going to be able to take from us. But if it takes a lot of this other stuff from us, it's now empowered us to be better people to one another.
There you go.
So, with all that said, here on signing off on Wired Together, and of course you can find us on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, your smart TV, Spotify, and Amazon Music, and all of your favorite channels. Of course, you can find us on our website, and unplugging for now.
But always stay connected.